Hey everybody, welcome to the program. It's Sunday afternoon for me. I had a subscriber on the channel that asked me to do a video comparison against the Gibson 1950s J-45. This one was built in 2020. And the inspired by Gibson Epiphone J-45. Clearly there are some finish differences in the two guitars. The neck profile is about the same. It's got a 50s, a little bit of a fat, not terribly fat, but kind of a chunky C a little bit. Same style of tuners on both guitars, although I'm fairly sure that even though these are kind of the Clusen style of tuners on both of them, that the ones on the Gibson J-45 are probably a little bit better, I'm sure. Both came with massive pick guards. This one was taken off when I bought it from a guy in, I think, Joplin, Missouri is where I bought this one out of. And he had pulled this massive pick guard. It took up about a third of the wood space on top, which is your soundboard. So massive pick guards just don't make a lot of sense to me tonally. Same thing on this guitar, except for the individual I bought it from had already pulled off that massive pick guard and replaced it with a small, thin, Gibson-esque kind of pick guard. Now, there's a clear tonal difference between the two. When I first did a review on this one, I'm going to do another one here in a few months as an update. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak preview into that one by saying this Gibson 50s J-45 is growing on me. I got a lot of things wrong in that first video. One of the things I got wrong was this is not a custom shop Gibson, even with the orange label. The inspired by Gibson lineup for Epiphone on the acoustic side, that's the J200, J45, and the Hummingbird. They all have orange stickers in them, which is indicative of the custom shop in Indonesia. However, Gibson has a little different take on this orange sticker apparently that I was unaware of, which is if they issue a specialty guitar. In other words, they're copying something from a cosmetic standpoint, because I really think that's what this is, a cosmetic copy of a 1950s Gibson J-45. Then they will differentiate that with an orange label in their normal shop. Now, they got some good luthiers working in their regular shop there in Gibson, not just the custom shop. So, but they did that to kind of differentiate it. Now, I've had two orange label Gibsons. Before this, they were both custom shop guitars. And because of that, they also had a orange label in them. But just the orange label, as far as Gibson, Bozeman, Montana is concerned, does not necessarily mean custom shop. I wasn't aware of that. It does on the Epiphones, but not on the Gibson, okay? Now, the only thing about this 50s is I think all of the specs from the 50s are the cosmetic specs, not the internals of the guitar. This one is not as boomy as the other two J-45s I had, but it's got a little boom to it. It's starting to open up, and I have taken it down from selling it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm starting to bond with this guitar. That surprises me, because when I first got it, I was so disappointed that it didn't sound exactly like my other J-45 standard that I didn't like it. I didn't like it from that standpoint. I've since been playing it a little while now, a couple of little small adjustments, and I'm starting to really like the guitar. So, sneak preview into the next video I do on this J-45, this Gibson J-45 50s model. I'm going to take back a little of what I said. The sound of this one is beginning to grow on me. You know what I mean? So, but that's where the cosmetics kind of stop, I guess. Between the two, this has obviously got a sunburst finish on it that is well, only Gibson seems to do, right? I mean, and get it this beautiful, because it is a beautiful burst. The one on the Epiphone's a lot less expensive. I'm sure that, obviously it's not nitrocellulose over here on the Epiphone. It's the burst does not have the time and the effort put into it that this one does. They had to cut costs. This is $3,000, hard case included. $800 if you include a hard case with this Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45. And if you don't, then I hope you got a humidified room, because it is a quality guitar. Now, you can buy the guitar itself for $650 or whatever. But you need to spend another $150 on a case. You need to get a case with that guitar. It's a quality guitar and a quality sounding guitar. And there are several of you on the channel that own this Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45. Tell everybody what you think about it down in the comments, because I've yet to run anybody that didn't love that thing. They didn't like the cutaway version of it that Epiphone did, but they loved the slope shoulder version of it, non-cutaway. This one's got cheap electronics in it. I really wish that, if you're going to put cheap electronics in something, don't put anything in there at all. But they did. Well, the guy I bought it from took it out. So bravo to him. This one's got the LR bags in it. I haven't touched it. I'm going to leave it alone. But, I say that. If I decide to keep it all the way long term, which is maybe not as long for some as it is for others, right? I may pull it out. It just depends. But I'm starting to grow very fond of the guitar. So this will be an interesting comparison, because the truth is I absolutely love this inspired by Gibson J-45 behind me. And I'm starting to love the 50s Gibson J-45. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting comparison. If you separate the two, price-wise, there's $2,200 difference between this guitar I'm holding in my hands and this Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45. If I didn't have the money to spend on a $3,000 guitar, my next choice would be the Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45. It might be my first choice. I mean, they are neck and neck, but not tonally. They sound different. You're going to hear that here in just a minute. But as far as sound is classified, these are two different guitars. They're both slow shoulder. They both had the specs put together by the Gibson engineers in Montana. And then they went to Nashville, and then together they went to Indonesia and said, here's how you're going to build it, and here's what I want to see when you finish the product. And Gibson made absolutely sure that Epiphone did this right. So that's why you have such a beast in this Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45. The mids are a lot more pronounced than they are on this 50s Gibson J-45. This one is more balanced, I would say, and which is, for my ears, a little unusual for Gibson. You usually get some deep lows and some mids and slight highs with these slope shoulders, at least to my ear. I'm getting older now, so, on the Epiphone inspired by Gibson J-45, the mids are extremely pronounced on that guitar, which just makes it great for picking, for finger style. It does have a great tone to it, but I'll let you get to it and let you take a look at it. Tell me in the comments what you think. By the way, I never tell anybody to share a video, but there's a couple of videos that I really would like to see people share. One of them is the review on the Mossman guitar. I don't want to see that Mossman just fly away to the winds and people don't realize who they are, or the fact that the gentleman that now owns it, I did finally hear back from him. He lives down the road from me, not too far, and when he gets everything set up and gets going, he's pretty busy right now. He said he'd reconnect and we would sit down and have a discussion right here in this little studio. And so I'm interested to hear what he's going to do with the company. So the brand's not dead. So I would like for those of you that that would, go find that video and share it. It's only 3 or 4 videos back. The other one I think is kind of a great a video for sharing, not because I did it, but just because of the subject matter, is the bone versus plastic pins for this J-45 back here, this Epiphone. That video, that was an interesting video to me. I've listened to that video 5 times myself, going back to see if I could hear it on the video. I can hear a difference. So if you're looking for videos on this channel that I'd like to see you share, I never really talk about this. Well, those are 2 I'd really like. I really like to see people share. So if you find it in your heart and your time, you care, or you think that you know they're good enough to share, well, share those if you would. Let's get to it, folks. Thanks for joining. Folks, I had to throw that little piece in from the song Thank You by Led Zeppelin because, and I know I didn't do it justice, so that's life. I did the best I could with it. I just picked it out yesterday, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to work on it, but I really wanted to include it in the comparison in the video. A couple of reasons. He wrote that for his wife, Maureen, and they lost a son, I think. He was about 5 years old when they lost him. And he was on tour, I believe, in the States when that happened. Of course, he caught a flight home, and ultimately it ended up taking a toll on their marriage, I think. But she was apparently a pretty wonderful girl, and he was, in my book, he's probably one of the top vocalists. He is the top vocalist in my book that's been on this planet. That guy had such a unique voice. If you've never investigated how Jimmy Page found him, you ought to read up on it. It's pretty entertaining. But yeah, anyway, interesting story about Robert Plant, and I think he's a good guy. He's still with us, still singing. He didn't quite hit the notes he used to sing, but he gets really close. And even without those really super high notes that he was able to just achieve somehow miraculously, he had a great voice. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in. I've always loved that song, and if you didn't know the backstory to it, you know it now. So, hey everybody, what did you think? Did you have a preference between these two guitars? Is there $2,200 difference in tone between these two guitars? If you tell me you like this $800 guitar behind me, I'm going to say $800 because you should buy a case. Don't be afraid to say it out loud. These are super quality guitars gaining a ton of traction for Epiphone. In my opinion, it's the best thing they've ever done. It's the best decision Gibson ever made to finally start producing some guitars in that custom shop that people would fall in love with and prefer over some of the Gibson guitars, okay? I see a place for both these guitars. Do I see $2,200 difference? Well, I think I'll just let you tell me, okay? That's what the video's about anyway. What do you think? It doesn't matter what I think. Thanks to each and every one of you for always joining the channel and checking the videos out. I think the world of you. Take care of your friends. Take care of your family. God bless. We'll see you next time.